Yo, 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 let's get the business.
Yo, let's get the business. I'm here today with a special talent, number 12. And he's known to put it right on the numbers. He's nifty and crafty in the pocket. He's an incredible person. He's a special individual, special talent. And I love his character. He's a good person. And he's just got an incredible poise in the pocket about himself, man. Don't let your defense collapse. don't let the defense collapse because he got that field vision. He's gonna pick you apart, man. And you know, he's a good friend of mine, and my former QB, and he took it to the different levels. But we're gonna get into that. And today I got Chris Todd, man.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on, buddy? You look good. Everything feeling good.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna start you off real light, nothing crazy.
Okay.
I'm glad I got you up here, man.
I'm glad you invited me.
I know, it was pretty good on the scheduling. We planned it and came on through, man. But a little bit about your upbringing. Of course, you played the game of football with a nice skill.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know that about yourself. But tell me a little bit more about just how you came up, and was you always into the game of sports, like game of football and everything?
Yes. So I didn't start playing that early. So we didn't have football until say fourth grade.
Until fourth?
Yeah, fourth grade.
Wow.
I grew up in Campbellsville.
That's right.
So we had baseball and we had basketball leagues. So we had like church basketball leagues when you're little, but we didn't start until fourth grade. But my dad was a football coach though.
Okay.
So I think the thing that kind of helped was he was assistant coach when we first moved, and he was a head coach at Taylor County for like 11 years. So I was just around it. I was all the time. So
around the game.
Yeah. So just after school, I go out and just hang around the field. If my mom was off work, I'd just be there at practice.
And
so
specifically football.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your dad was an offensive coordinator. I know that. That's pretty remarkable itself. So you always had that knack and that vision of always looking at the game and studying the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a period about 7th or 8th grade where I started getting serious about training. I started going to camps and getting out and trying to like expand our knowledge. Me and him both. We kind of went places trying to learn new ways, like how to get better, what the good techniques were, and listen to some of the people that knew more than we did.
Right.
But I was around it, for a long time before that.
That's nice. So you came up in the game. So that's nice, man. So a big story behind your journey, of course, was coming up through high school. You know what I mean? You end up going, transferring from Texas Tech first to Troy, was it? Junior college?
So the coach, I never went to Troy. The coach that went to Auburn, who ended up bringing me into Auburn, that's who was at Troy. He was at Troy before then. And it was just that he was a connection I had. It was Tony Franklin who was
Tony Franklin. That's right. I was trying to think of the name. Tony Franklin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was. I called him when I was trying to leave Tech. We didn't have the transfer portal.
Right.
Which that would have made
a lot has changed with that.
God bless. That'll make life a lot easier. I just heard the other day somebody showed me that like a top quarterback coming out of the portal now is going for like $1 million, $1.5 million.
That's wild.
I was like, that kind of makes me sick.
Crazy. How you feel about the NIL? That's one of my questions. But isn't that crazy?
It is.
To be a former guy that you of course you played on the D1 level, and you got a starting role, a starting quarterback position, and now just to watch the game and to see the level of opportunities that they're reaching to, like, how does that make you feel?
I think I have a lot of emotions about that.
It's mixed emotions.
Yeah, it's mixed emotions because like some of that needed to happen. The rules were so stringent when I was there that they even told us if we were out in the middle, they used this example. If we're out in the middle of the country and our car broke down and we were walking to town, we had miles left, and then a booster came up in a car and said, "Hey, you want to get in for a ride?" We had to say no.
That is absolutely nuts.
That's ridiculous, right?
Like, don't let them buy you a Walker Jr. with cheese.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. So like that's where we were, and that's
because
way too far the other way.
That's crazy.
Yep. So the new way now, I mean, it opens up some opportunities. I do think some guys play at a really high level in college, and then as soon as they're gone, I think you're kind of dropped off of the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So some of the financial things I think are good. I think there's going to be the way I think things usually work. There's usually too far one way, then too far the other way.
Right.
And we'll reach some.
There's no in between there.
Yeah. So,
I know what you mean. So it's kind of like a bursting bubble, but right now it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is. I kind of wish I'd have played a decade later.
You're like, you happy for them, but you're like, what? Like
Yeah.
10 years later?
Yeah.
So part of transferring from different schools, like what are some of the things you had to deal with? Like learning people's different personalities in different schools and the different systems. Like what was the biggest thing as far as transferring? I guess saying from Texas Tech to Auburn.
Yeah, so there's a lot of decisions that kind of go into that. First of all, it's like making the decision is kind of hard.
Yeah, the decision, the big decision.
Yeah, because it's a huge, gigantic
it was a big
decision.
one.
It was a huge one. Because when I was there, I played in 5 games on my redshirt freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
There was a kid that was over me, and we were competing. We were extremely close going into the season. I ended up getting beat out, but it was a deal where I got to go in a couple games when he played bad, and we were still very close to each other. There was a big gap between 2 and 3,
right?
At the time, and so it was. It was like Coach Leach, even when I left, he called when I told him I was going to leave. He was talking about, hey, man, the competition's going to be open back up. You're going to have a shot to win. You're further along than he was at this point.
Right.
You're better at this. He's better at this.
Mm-hmm.
So you're risking a lot.
Yeah.
You're risking a lot. And
it's a battle. You're literally in a battle.
Yeah. There's a whole mindset to that, just figuring out how to compete with somebody, especially when you're in a play position that just has one guy.
Exactly. So getting comfortable in the campus is one thing.
Yes.
And then here comes a whole nother challenge. Now you're in practice.
Yeah.
You're sweating every day and you're like, I got to get it.
Yeah.
You got somebody on your side and it's a shootout.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine.
So there's a lot too. I mean, I think so. Adjusting to campus life, figuring out where you're gonna go, adjusting to campus life. You're making new friends, figuring out classes, what you're gonna study, and it's kind of all that. But then, which everybody goes through that stuff.
Yeah.
But the competition level is crazy high.
Most definitely.
You get to a place where, like, you've been a big fish for a while.
Yeah, because you're always a star as long as I'm not.
So then you get to a place where everybody else was the same thing.
Good.
Yeah, or better, or it's people you find all of a sudden you're around people that are more talented than you in certain areas, and so figuring out how to win, figuring out how to be the guy. There's a lot of mental stuff. There's a lot of psychology. There's a lot of there's just
mental toughness.
Yeah, you got to have some teeth. Yep, exactly. A lot of discipline.
And of course, you came in there right. What year was it? Cam Newton.
He came in after I graduated.
He was after you.
Right after.
Okay.
So I helped.
That was interesting.
Yeah, so Malzahn called me into the office, and the first time I met him, he just said, hey, I got this kid I'm recruiting. Can you come help?
Yeah.
Talk to him. But yeah, so he came in the very next year.
That's dope. And he was a monster.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's the first time I was just like, wow.
6'5"?
He's bigger than that.
Word.
I think
yeah, he was a tank for sure.
I think on the roster he was 6'5" and like I can't remember what is something 7/8 or something, but
he's a crazy mobile 6'5".
Well, he looks like he's 6'8", like a legit.
He does.
The measurements with the NFL are like socks off, toes in the air, clipboard on your head.
Yeah,
so his 6.
Really.
Oh yeah, it's like people would come out of there being shorter than they thought the whole time.
That's pretty dope, just to experience that and to be around them. One of my favorite players from Auburn, I think it was a Cadillac Williams.
Cadillac, yes sir.
He was tough.
Yeah.
They ran the ball a lot whenever he played.
They did.
I think they had actually 2 or 3 different running backs.
They did. So I know a couple of them really well. So Jason Campbell's the quarterback of that team.
Okay.
And I've gotten to do quite a few things with him. And then Ronnie Brown, which I know him better than I know Cadillac.
Ronnie Brown.
It was Ronnie Brown and Cadillac. They were just a huge. They were a great tandem.
They were nice. Yeah.
We've had some good running backs.
That was crazy being around those guys. So.
Yeah. Honestly, they're super nice dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they're part of that fraternity. So when we're out doing stuff, they're excited to talk to everybody else like we are. So
yeah, that's pretty cool, man. He's definitely one of my favorites. So coming off, you had surgery on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that and maybe some hurdles that you had to leap over when involving that?
That's a big one. That's a really big one. So I would say, well, I mean, if I was going to dumb it down to its most simple form, it's just that was probably my arm strength was. I mean, you have the mental aspect of it and the football knowledge, but just from a physical standpoint, that was probably my strongest asset.
Right.
Because I had a really strong arm, especially when I got to tech.
You got a cannon. Always been a gunslinger. I meant to throw that early. Gunslinger.
Well, that was
yard style, baby.
I appreciate that.
But the mechanics is crazy too.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
You're not just farving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your mechanics is nice in the pocket and out the pocket.
Well, thank you. So I guess that was. I mean, I worked hard at getting a strong arm, and
Definitely.
there's a lot of things that go into that. But that was a big asset. I had a really good arm, and when I got hit and tore my shoulder, that was taken away, and I could probably never the same.
I can
It's
only
never
imagine.
been the same. So it felt like, like years later, it took me a while to figure this out. But I kept watching the movie Gladiator like over and over,
Yeah.
and I didn't know why I was watching it. Like those.
Perseverance.
Say what?
Perseverance.
Yeah,
Baby.
yeah. And there was there was a theme.
It was talking to you.
It was. It 100% was talking to me.
Yeah.
And it was. I couldn't figure it out though. I just knew I really liked the movie, and I kept wanting to watch it. And it finally clicked with me one day that the scene where he goes at the end, where he fights the new tyrant king.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's underneath there, and he like has him chained up, and he stabs him with the little knife.
Yeah.
And then he covers it up. Right. So that he appears to the audience that he's still healthy.
Exactly.
And he wants to look strong, that he
like
defeated
he doesn't want to show his wounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the reason I think that it finally clicked was that's what I felt like.
Okay.
It felt like I was working my way up to this grand stage, which was at Auburn playing these games.
Right.
And that I had literally taken a wound that nobody saw.
Right.
Because, when I heard it, I was before I ever got to Auburn, so nobody knew about it.
Okay.
And so, like, you work for years to achieve this thing, and then once you finally get there, you have this wound that's inhibiting you from being at your highest potential. So I don't know. It's like psychological. There's rehab and figuring out how to deal with it, how to strengthen your arm, the mental aspect of your confidence changes completely. Yeah. So doing all those things, but
it's more the psychological aspect of it. Just not feeling right, but not wanting to show that, not wanting to show weakness at all.
And you have to be positive. Every interview, I'm like, I think it's going to get good. Yeah, it's going to be good soon. Which I thought those things, but
right, you want to stay in that positive pocket, and then you go home and you're like in the corner. You're leaning a little bit towards that curiosity of the possibilities. But I can only imagine, me just playing the small time that I did and not having any injuries. I could just only imagine like having something that's. You feel like it's holding you back almost.
Well, even like from your example though, Jux, I've heard so many stories about how good of an athlete you were, and then you take years off.
Yeah.
Take some years off and then come back. I mean, it's a similar type thing.
Yeah.
Something that's so easy for you. I mean, however athletic you are, when you take that much time off and try to come back, it's like your brain has an idea and your body's just a step behind.
That muscle memory is not as smooth.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
You really have to rely on anything natural that you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So how's it feel just playing? Of course, you had the air raid system going on at Texas Tech, which I was familiar with that. I used to just watch you sling it all over the place.
Probably knew some of the plays.
Facts.
Yes.
Definitely facts. Plus some of those posts and fades and, the digs. And some of my favorites. I like the crossing routes, actually, because I was a speedy guy.
Yep.
So that's the secret of mine. Yeah, I like the underneath.
Yep.
Mainly the under. But so what was the difference from Texas Tech's offense compared to Auburn's offense whenever you went under Gus, was it?
Mm-hmm. My first year was under Franklin, so that system was similar.
Shout out to Franklin. But yeah.
So that one was not a gigantic transition.
Okay.
He was doing a little more QB run game, Franklin was.
Yeah.
And so, and there was a few adjustments just because they had spread from each other. Their branches they're on the same tree, but they were kind of separated a little bit from a few years of changing things. But with Gus, the offense was more of a power out of shotgun.
Yeah, I feel like they ran the ball a little bit more.
We did. So it was Auburn just traditionally is a running team. So we had one of the assets. We usually had some big backs,
definitely,
or fast kids, and you could tell the difference when I being a practice at Tech and then being a practice at Auburn. Just the bodies look different. And so I mean, don't get me wrong. The people at Tech we have phenomenal athletes.
Very skilled, very fast.
Yes,
but I know what you mean by the physical part.
The bodies we had really big guys there. I mean, Tech is a super high level. All those dudes were crazy good. It was just some of our receivers were great. We had Amendola who played in the Super Bowl at the Patriots. And we had.
What year was Crabtree there? Michael Crabtree?
He was there. So he was a freshman when I was. So he played there too.
Okay.
I was with him for 1 year. Okay. So he was the class behind me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if y'all played together or not. Yeah.
That kid was a good athlete.
He was nice.
He honestly
caught everything.
Yes, he did. He wasn't like just the fastest dude in the world, which you would expect somebody that's that good.
Right.
But he's a guy that when we play pickup basketball, I mean, off one dribble, he's dunking down the lane. He could
very coordinated.
Oh, very coordinated. He could just make plays, and he would go up. There'd be four people jumping up, and he would just find a way to catch it.
Snagging everything.
Yes, just very, very skilled.
He remind me of Chris Carter. Because I didn't think Chris Carter was very speedy either.
Yeah.
But his body control.
Yes.
He caught everything.
Body control.
I mean,
yes.
He has sticky hands. Like, yeah.
I'll take Crabtree. I even when he was a freshman, he wasn't playing that much. So I would see him over every day, just catching balls. He would have somebody set up the machine, and he would catch.
So he was putting that work in.
He was.
Okay.
Put a lot of work in.
Nice.
Yeah.
You stayed out there too, man.
I put a lot of work in.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Man, he deserves every accolade that comes his way. Because let me tell you,
I don't know
the
about
things that people don't see is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, with you being a Kentucky native, did you catch any heat, like not going to play for the almighty Wildcats?
Not really, because I did hear it from people, but the biggest thing was they offered so late in the process. They were so they had like Hal Mummy's still been there. I'd have been. He wasn't. So if he would have still been there, which when Tim Couch and they had that.
Tim Couch.
If he would have still been there, and like that's when Leach was there and Franklin was there, and they had the air raid system.
Air raid. Franklin was really involved.
Yep. If I would have been a perfect fit for that system, right. So I would have been heavily recruited there.
Because Franklin was kind of there. He was shadowing you kind of. I remember. I guess from sophomore or junior year all the way up.
Yep. But like that year, Oklahoma, who had just played in the national championship, offered me before Kentucky did.
Word.
So it was kind of a deal. Like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that you're like, like they were doing
on the table.
Yeah, they were running the ball a lot. So like they were looking for a different skill set in a quarterback that year.
Right.
And that made sense. I mean, it wasn't like personal. It was just, and they did offer me. It was just late.
Nice to have the offer though. You know what I mean?
Yes. Had Kentucky come into the game early, I would have really considered it because I was a fan growing up.
Right. I was always wondering that, you know.
Yeah.
See how they treat Reed Shepherd out there. They love him.
They do. Yeah.
That's nice. So you always had number 12. Like, what inspired you to do that? Because I know this is pretty traditional for y'all. Like, even your little brother wore 12, right? Yeah. So where'd that come from?
That's a good question. It's not as cool a story as it sounds, but so I had a kid when I was at Taylor County who was a really good player as a senior. I was in 8th grade. It was my dad's team that went to the state semifinals, which was amazing for Taylor County in that school. Yeah, just the talent level. Nice. They had a really good team.
Small town too.
Yep. Yeah. But he was number 10, and that's kind of the person that I looked up to.
Right.
And so like I liked number 10 because he was number 10. And I remember in middle school we didn't have the matching jerseys for the home and away, so I had 10 and 2, I think. And then when I came up, I got to play some JV when I was in 8th grade, and I couldn't be number 10. So like the next closest thing was 12. so it just stuck.
I think that was a pretty cool story, though. You know, it kind of naturally happened.
It did. It very naturally happened.
Yeah. But you know, it actually gained sentimental value because it stuck with you.
Yes, it did.
So
yes, it did.
That's pretty cool. So, what kept you inspired through this football journey? Because I know me. I was a weird kid. Like I used to like put pads like in my shirt and like pretend they're like shoulder pads and like dive over the caps and stuff and get on my mom's nerves. Like, was you a big dreamer like that? Imagining yourself in the game?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was. Yeah. I mean, even whether it wasn't just football though. When I was a kid, I mean, heck, even
sports period,
even just shooting basketball in the backyard.
Yeah.
I would just try to envision like if you make this shot, you're going to be this.
Facts. Yeah. All three. I was like that too. Yeah.
Baseball is the same way.
Okay. Yeah. Me too. It's like you foresee it before it happens. It's kind of strange.
You know what's crazy? That concept is so vitally important to your life, and we do it so easily as a kid.
Yeah.
But something happens, like something happened to me because I'm trying to recreate that now. And like my vision when I was growing up in sports was so like solid. It was unshakable.
Right.
Like whatever, even my shoulder thing, I should have been done. Because just your skill set's taken away, you should be done.
But you were
locked in. I was willing. I mean, it's almost a sense of like you're willing to die for it.
Right.
And then as an adult though, it's so crazy. I feel like everybody kills that side of themselves.
Man, that's an interesting analogy. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Well, it's hard for me too. I just
try to gain that vision and that hunger back.
Yeah, and just the risk taking and like
Right.
all of it's just you see a goal and your narrow, just this narrow vision of this is where I want to go. This is my aim. This is the light. This is what I'm going
I guess
towards.
what sucks about it, I guess, is that you feel like you can't play on that level anymore because our age and everything.
Yeah.
And then we try to do that within other things. Like we try to find that same passion and that same desire.
It's not different.
None of it's not the same. It's not quite the same. It's not going to be the same, but we just try to find it in different things.
But I think it could be. So it's like when you look at like childhood psychology, right? Like your relationships. People talk about your relationships as a kid.
Yeah.
Like your relationships affect your relationships as an adult.
Right.
So like you've heard people like your mom's this way and you'll date people like that.
Yeah.
So it's not anything about like your attraction towards your mom or anything weird. It's just like your brain doesn't like reformulate a new pattern to associate with the new females. It's just you have the same one. I think this is like the same. It's
Right.
you have a way to grind and see and do. And I think we just like it doesn't matter if you want to be successful at business or you want to be good at golf or you want to be good at I don't know, whatever podcasting. Like just
Facts.
that vision you could use. I think you can use the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're also just those type of guys that are good at more than one thing.
Yeah.
Like I've always been multi-talented at different things.
Yep.
And I know you are because you're nice at pool. No, I'm telling you, like this is the man behind the mystique when it comes to pool. I remember one time he was like, "You want to play some pool?" Just really casually. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to compete at anything." I'm one of those guys. So here I go diving into the pool. I'm talking about cooking me.
I think I'm stronger in ping pong.
Probably. Did I play you in there? I probably did.
No, I mean I'll play you in pool, but I think I'm better at ping pong. I like both of them.
Probably, yeah. Multi-talented, man. I'm telling you. So
we can play again if you want.
Thanks.
All right, cool.
So so in football, yeah, we got to get to that. So before football, like, was you interested, like, I would say, like, if you didn't play quarterback, what position do you think you could have fell into?
That's a good question. I don't know. So,
because I always see you back there just
I got there.
Putting it on the numbers.
I started playing quarterback early.
I think so.
But like, if I was gonna just compare it, like my dad played. He was a quarterback in high school, but he was like an option quarterback. So in college, he played.
Really?
He went.
Nice.
He went to play as a tight end, and then he played like DB. I think he ended up playing linebacker, which he ended up being really good linebacker at Western.
So he went from quarterback to linebacker.
Yeah, so he was a very good baseball player.
He can run the option.
Yep.
Man, I miss those option days.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know if I was going to consider, I mean, I would have obviously had to put a lot of work into whatever else. Like, if I was going to be somewhere, somebody catching the ball, I had to put on size or speed and all those things. But
right.
I don't know.
Of course, you broke records at the quarterback position. So you broke Tim Couch's record, didn't you?
Some of them. So the all-time passing leader, he was still 1 and I was 2 when I finished. I think some people have gotten up there since then. Yeah. I think I broke I broke a lot of his single season records.
Yeah. But that's quite nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Tim Couch was that dude coming out. I mean, he was high prospect.
He was really. I looked up to him a lot. And I was going after his numbers.
Yeah.
We just didn't quite make it.
I feel that.
I was going after it.
I like that. Because you got to like create something to go after. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just like, I like that though, man. So hey, you achieved, like you said, a few of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope, man.
Well, the thing got us our senior year. We were beating people.
Yeah.
We didn't play a lot.
I know what you mean.
We didn't play a lot of the second half, and which is a good problem. You can't be mad at winning games.
Right.
Yeah.
Take the W's.
Yeah. And Tim Couch was just, I mean, he was really, really good.
Nice.
He was really good.
Nice size, nice arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a different type of offense at the time. I think was it Craig East and some of those
Craig
guys?
East. Yeah, he was number 3.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember Craig East. He was.
Yeah.
Heck, Homer played there at that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of your personal goals coming up. I was like, is there anything specific that you wanted to achieve as a quarterback? I know that you said like you was going after some of Couch's numbers, but what else was pushing you through? Like anything you were just targeting to accomplish as a quarterback?
That's a good question. I did know that I wanted to play at the next level. I knew that. If I'm just being completely transparent, I didn't know the path because there wasn't a lot of just perfect examples of this is what you need to do. I was very lucky. The kid that I looked up to, he was a very hard worker. He went and played football and baseball at Campbellsville. He was not as tall, so I think that hindered him.
Yeah.
So just the work ethic, I had somebody to see, like, okay, he's
Right.
throwing this many balls every night.
Yeah.
It seemed too daunting in the beginning, but just I tried to start doing as much as he was doing. And then if somebody would work out, I'd be like, hey, well, my dad was a big workout guy, so he got me in the weight room.
It's good to have somebody to duplicate.
Absolutely. You're just lost if you don't have. It's just like why people need mentors when you go into business or whatever.
Right. You gotta have a vision.
Yeah, I think my vision started becoming more clear as we progressed through high school, as I started getting a little better. I started going to camps.
Right.
Because I think at first what I wanted to do, well, first you got to be the best player on your team or the best at that position, right?
Definitely. Because
I switched schools when I was a sophomore, came to E-Town. I'd compete with somebody that was a big kid, had a big arm, a smart kid.
You definitely stand out. I mean, but when it was all said and done, you know what I mean, you was clearly the standout.
Yeah, we had like when I first
position too.
Yeah. When I first got there to E-Town, Zip was playing quarterback.
Zip was our quarterback.
And I thought he had a good skill set to be a player. Like it wasn't a deal where I could just walk in and have something.
Right.
And he ended up being a phenomenal tight end.
That is a good point.
And a great O lineman.
He was my teammate for a long time. But Zip he's just one of those guys. He's good at everything. And
he's smart. And he's smart.
Smart.
And he works hard. He worked out a lot. So that was number one. I had to be the best person on the team. Okay. So that figure, like just not looking ahead, I had to figure that out. And then after that, I started comparing myself to people in the area. So we had Andre Woodson, who went to Kentucky. We had Blake Powers, who went to Indiana.
I remember Blake.
Do you?
Yeah.
So they were just I got to meet both of them. Andre's a really nice guy. Blake was a little whatever. But you are good friends.
You want to talk about it? No,
I don't know. I've heard better one time.
I don't know.
I was like, thanks, man.
I remember you went to Indiana. You know, I don't rock with the Indiana losers.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't anything personal. He just like told me that I wouldn't be big enough to play in college or something like that.
Oh, word.
I was like, damn, all right, cool.
Like that? That was some salt being thrown.
Yeah. But so I compared myself to them because they were both really good.
Okay, definitely stand
and out. They were both going somewhere that I wanted. So I just started. The first thing I literally just looked at News Enterprise and I checked the stats every week. I was a sophomore, they were senior. It's like, hey, Chris Todd threw for this, Andre wasn't through for this, Blake Powers threw for this. Okay, you did good this week. You didn't do good this week. And that just gave me like a little bit of an idea. Okay, you're doing this, you're doing this. And then as I started going to camps, it started helping me like narrow my vision. So it's like, all right, so you were trying to be the best here. Now you have people from Tennessee and Ohio and North Carolina.
Now the journey is starting for you.
Yeah, now you're
because if you lock in and just do your thing and put the work in, it's like it just comes to you and it makes your vision more clear once 100%. That work is done.
Absolutely.
Once you raise the garage door and you're like, I'm done, you know.
Yes, it's so important to start.
Yeah.
Like I have to remind myself of things that I do now because it was so simple then, but it's just, it's like when you start moving, you start going, it's just your ideas change.
It's like you're floating.
Yeah. What do you mean by floating?
Meaning like you're carelessly doing it without thinking too hard about it and just letting other things come to you, letting the universe speak for it.
I like
after
that.
the work is put in.
Yep, I like that.
But the work comes first. So tell me about being on is it the War Report?
Yeah, War Report.
The War Report.
Yes, sir.
And that's, what's the exact title is Life of a Transfer? Is it?
I think it might have been the title. Yeah.
And there's two versions of it. Could you elaborate a little bit on being on that show and how you came about doing it?
Yeah. So I've been, when I lived in Birmingham was when I started in media. I guess I could answer the War Report. So the War Report, I can answer that first. It is a group of guys that were all Auburn people. Okay. They've moved away, but they wanted to start something that they just want to talk about Auburn football.
So it was Auburn-based football.
Yes. Okay. And at the time, like podcasting was really just kind of starting to be a thing where people would go into it. You had your big ones. Yeah. And so they just wanted a platform where they could talk about it. And they were all very passionate about it. They all had their own jobs, and this was kind of a side thing. So I just started, hey, man, you might come on a show and helping us out. And then the first couple of shows were pretty good. Yeah. And that was originally it was just me talking about like, hey, this is what the quarterbacks did during the scrimmage, or this is what the quarterbacks did during the game. This is what the defense was doing. This is what you're reading. And then as we did a few, they kind of made it like focus more on me, and we did life for transfer. Like, hey, tell us the story. What's it like?
Right. Because you went in and you were just very informative right off the bat, and they were like, yeah, we like the energy of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the two, I also did some, which we talked about before. When I was in Birmingham, I did TV and radio there.
TV and radio.
Yeah.
Okay. So nice. So you get into that, like, what were some of your major breaking points throughout the whole journey? Like, because you went from all these transfers, then you went through surgery, and then you actually got a starting position at Auburn, and then end up getting into broadcast, and now you're in the teaching and psychological part of things, and working with children. So that's that's a journey itself. You know what I mean? That's a lot of different avenues. What's the most special thing about the journey?
Oh, most special thing about the journey. I tell you, I've learned a lot about myself
the growth part of it.
The growth part of it. I think the past 5 years, because I kind of redirected my just where I was going in life, like majorly about 5 years ago. So I was in finance. I was working with Merrill Lynch. I was in a big office on a big team, and just had this idea of things. And then my life changed a lot. Just
and definitely in a nutshell, because that's just such a general question. So
I
understand. I'll put you with that one. But to me, I mean, it's just like an incredible journey. You know what I mean? Especially just making it on the level that you've made it, and then still being healthy and here to do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean?
I tell you, the doing whatever you want to do as an adult, as a kid, it's not that hard. But as an adult, I think it's very scary.
Yeah. It's like you worry about more people more than you worry about yourself the older you get.
Yeah. Worried about. I think that becomes part of it. I'll tell you, with me, one of the main reasons the transition happened was I was running myself in the ground. I was working a lot of hours, think I was doing the right thing, working with groups, doing philanthropic work, trying to network, and just doing stuff all the time. And none of it was making me happy. I wasn't being fulfilled. Like, it was just, there was something missing all the time. And just, but instead of like backing out, then I just kept pushing the pedal down harder. I was like, well, I must need to do more. I must need to do this. I need to do this.
Exhausted.
And eventually your body just tells you to screw off if you go too far.
Right.
So like after that, the next 5 years is this is how I envision it. It's kind of like, you see those people that are in, those old city states, and the like you hear about the Bible, the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of see it like that. You have certain people who, you all have all these relationships with people in the tribe, but then you'll have somebody that throws that sack with a stick over their shoulder, and they go out on this long journey, and then they meet caravans of people, and they come to these new towns, and they come across some dragons, and they do all this, and then they find maybe they find treasure and they bring it back.
Adventurous experience.
Yeah. I feel like that's a big, me going back to school for psychology, just a lot of the research I do now. It's I first try to answer questions about myself, like, what do I need? Who am I? What am I trying to be? What am I here for? What is happiness? How do you find peace? All these things. And so now it's just trying to collect all that, put it together, and then I think your job is ultimately to come back and share the information you have with everyone else. Tell your stories.
Very well put. Very well said. And you just diving into the psychological part of it, that's helping people out already tremendously. You know what I mean? Just you leading by example, and you just, embracing that.
It's helped me out a lot. It was just, it wasn't like a big, huge step. It was like, okay, I had this problem, so I look it up. And then the answer was there. And then you have something else that comes up. Well, the answer is there again. And you find this spot that just has a lot of answers. And okay, well, there's something to this. Yeah.
And actually, you can relate it to football, but it's separate from that. You know what I mean? And it's a whole different level of growth.
Yeah.
So nice. So at that moment, playing on that level, like playing in the SEC and being on that big stage, humongous stadiums, humongous crowds, of course. What was that moment when you woke up and you was just like, yo, I'm here? Like, was it a play on the sideline that you got hit, or was it a touchdown pass that you throw and you just felt the roar of the crowd as you was running down to celebrate with your teammates? What was that moment? I'm sure there was many of them.
One of the most significant ones was seeing like the really big stage, because we had a couple games at Auburn, and I had some big games at Tech that I got to get into, and so I had a couple moments there.
Yeah.
And I had a couple shots that I took there.
Yeah.
Like big hits where I just got hit by a truck.
Well, it was different.
It was
different. like what? Not who? What just hit me? You know what I mean? Because that's a different level.
Oh, it is. Like there's people I listened to this like. It's like, I think, is he a neurobiologist not too long ago? But he was talking about brain scans. And he was talking about trauma and how like somebody could get hit in the head with a soccer ball and that could traumatize their brain.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I think the guy that he was talking to was like, I think I've had concussions. Like, I know I've had concussions.
That's facts. Yeah, you've had some facts.
Yeah.
Some of those defenses, arguably, their machine is heavier than some of the NFL's defenses. Because NFL defenses take plays off. They take plays off. I haven't seen top-notch SEC defenses, and
they're pretty good.
They're good.
I mean, I'm not gonna speak for the NFL. There's some nasty dudes in the NFL. And I've seen some of the guys that fill those rosters. But when you played when you play teams like LSU or Alabama, like
that's what I mean.
Usually you might have 2 or 3 guys on the defensive line that are in the NFL.
Right.
And like my first year. So you asked me what was that first vision?
Yeah.
Or that first that waking up moment. Yeah. So when we were playing LSU, my first year there, I played about 5 games that junior year before I stopped for my shoulder. But there was we were both in the top 10, and I walk out on the field, and just there's 90,000 people, and it's a night game, so there's all these camera flashes going everywhere, and it was the craziest feeling in the world because you're like, holy shit.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah, but it was like I was excited, but at the same time, you're like, holy crap. Like this is a big deal.
Bright lights.
Yes. And it's all looking at you.
10.
Yes. And the crazy thing was, I was
starting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's also, I walk up, they had just punted the ball. This was our first drive. They just punted the ball, and they downed it at the half-yard line.
Okay.
So my feet were in the end zone taking the snap. The first one, and
pinned back to the wall.
This is the first one of the game. And it was just like, my eyes are this big.
Quarterback Chris Todd, they're going to take off on their 1.5 yard line.
I didn't hear anything. I was in this. But yeah, they had the defensive line we were talking about. They had the guy that was, I think, number 3 in the draft the next year.
Nasty.
He was was it Dorsey? He had Dorsey on the outside. And
they had some monsters.
You had 2 really high picks on the D line. Like there was a guy that on the edge that was hitting me in the face on hitch routes. And then there was a guy in the middle that just destroyed. But anyways, I got underneath there, and it was just the craziest feeling in the world. And I actually had a flow state moment where the ball was snapped, and everything went in slow motion,
right? And
then it sped back up.
Right.
But that moment right there was it was just the craziest thing you could see.
Like, wow.
Yes, and you don't know how to do. It's like I felt so weird. You don't know what to do. Yeah. So it's like you either just step forward or you step back.
You're in the moment.
And so I just said, screw it, let's do it. Let's go. Yeah.
Because it's like you've been on big stages and big games, but that was another level.
That was just a whole nother level.
Lights everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
I can only imagine, man. And it's fun at the same time. That's what's weird about it.
Yeah. It's fun after you get going.
Yeah. After you get some of the butterflies loose.
Yeah.
Nice. So I got another one for you. So being around me being on YouTube all the time, I've checked out some of your highlights, and one of them that stands out to me is the 93-yarder you threw to Terrell Zachary.
Exactly right.
That was his name. How you feel about that?
First of all, I want to commend you've done your homework.
I have to.
I appreciate that, though, man.
I definitely have.
I think it's really easy.
That was a nice play.
Thank you. I do want to talk about you for 1 second, though. I think it's very easy to assume that people they just have stuff. Like if it's an athlete, you just assume that they were gifted with that,
right?
But they don't see the work. So you're trying to do a podcast. I like the fact that you're not scared to just jump out and do it and figure it out. And I can tell you're doing your homework, man. I appreciate that.
That's facts.
That's good. So, yeah,
I love you too, brother.
Good
homework, nice homework.
So the 93-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah,
that was. Sorry about my watch.
Was that
my little survival?
So
watch.
Was that? What route was that? Was that a fade?
So it was actually a stop and go.
It was a stop.
It was a stop and go.
I remember now the hesitation move.
Yep. Yeah. So this is one of those things. Actually, so it's kind of important to play before. Mm-hmm. So we're backed up and we throw it's a 10-yard stop route. So he runs 10 yards and I just throw it throw it on the sideline. It's a pretty tight throw. You have to make just as long as you throw it on time and keep it outside, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But the corner just bit on it crazy hard.
Okay.
And we hadn't really pressed him downfield yet. So he bit crazy hard. Instead of trying to squeeze it in there, I threw it like 2 or 3 yards outside of him. I literally just threw it away. Because if I throw a pick there, it's pick 6.
Right.
And so we literally let them go up. So I threw it out of bounds. To the coach's credit, they call the same thing with a go tag. So I give him a go tag.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing, people talk about that play quite a bit, actually. It's probably one of the bigger things they talk about because of the pump fake.
That's pretty nice. So the first route was a 10-yard stop.
Yep.
Hit him. You threw it on the outside.
I actually threw it away. You didn't complete it.
But you added on to that route.
Yes.
The 10 and then the go.
Yes.
Eee, nasty.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And the pump fake was that was a big part of it. Just I sold the hell out of it. I made it look like I was going to throw that stop route.
Nasty.
And that dude jumped it quick.
You've always been nasty at the pump fake. I remember you being in high school pump faking and just yeah. I mean, and you've always been able to, even though you're not considered what you would call a scramble quarterback, you can still move good out of the pocket because you know where you're going. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just kind of run recklessly. You take the right angle. Yeah.
No, I think being able to move around the pocket is a huge skill set, and being a scramble person, I do think I scramble pretty well.
You do.
Moving the pocket pretty well. Now, like I said, I wasn't a big runner. It just never entered my brain.
But you're a smooth runner.
Okay. Well, thanks.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. No, but coordinated runner.
Yeah. It takes coordination to run.
I think I'm pretty coordinated.
And to throw the ball at the same time. So it's like,
that's fair. I'll take it.
Yeah, I got to give you that. I have to give it to you.
Thank you.
So when they announced you as the starter for the Auburn Tigers, where was your mind at? Or was your mind even there? It was just...
Oh, no, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So the first year, it was like a little different because it wasn't like we didn't make a big deal of it. I had a shoulder injury. There was a kid that I was competing with.
Yeah.
Like we both played, because I went from being able to throw a ball, 70, 72 yards to 45.
Okay.
After my shoulder deal. And I played with it without a hurt. So I was at a very big discrepancy with that.
It was literally from the mud, climb to the top. That's how I visualize it.
Yeah. Well, it very much was. So the second year after I fixed my shoulder, we get a new coaching staff. So none of those people recruited me.
Right.
And after I didn't go through spring ball because I just had surgery. I didn't do much this summer. None of the coaches knew me or even liked me for that matter because I wasn't their guy. So I was 5th on the depth chart going in my senior year. 5th.
Facts.
Yeah. Going into fall camp.
Don't never give up. Whatever you do.
No. It was, and honestly, the task of winning the job seemed impossible.
Right.
I remember there was
that shows your guts and your determination and your discipline and your confidence within yourself.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people start to look at this and that. Oh, they're not looking at me. Oh, who's not paying attention to me? But you still kept believing in yourself, like, I'm going to do this. And you done it.
Thank you. Yeah. I remember a time there was, right before you go into the complex, there's kind of like these stone benches, and there was this huge fan. I remember looking up because I laid down there. I was a little bit defeated because I saw myself as the guy who should be in that spot, but I was really 5th. Like we had 2 practices at the time. I wasn't even in the main practice. So the practice with all the TV, the cameras, and the people, and the one that people wrote about in articles.
Practice.
I was with literally the freshmen and walk-on people.
Fact.
That's who I practiced with to start fall camp, right before my senior year. So I literally thought, it was like, this is impossible. And I laid down on that stone thing, and I remember looking up because the fan said they called it big ass fan. Have you seen those?
Nah, but I got a vision of what it looks like. The big ones, like kind of gymnasium fans, kind of.
And I was just like, that's a really interesting name for a fan.
You just where your mind was at.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that, and I just remember looking up, and I was like, I don't know how I can do this. I don't know who I was talking to. I don't know if I was talking to myself, God, the universe, whatever I was talking to, but I was just
spiritual.
I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I started feeling sorry for myself. And I was like, okay, so you have options here, right? Number one, you can quit.
Facts.
And I was
always one option.
And I even justified, I was like, if you quit right now, just give up. You can give up. Everybody will give you an excuse. Bro, you had your talent taken away. You had your arm taken away. Like, it makes sense. Just quit doing this to yourself. Just stop.
So you was thinking about copping out.
Well, it was there. It was because
it would have been easy. It would have been very easy.
It was, and the stuff I was doing was very hard. So then I said, okay, that's option one.
Right.
And I part my language. But the next album was like, okay, is there another one?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, look, dude, you have about 2 weeks here before the season, before we're prepping for the season.
Facts.
So you can quit and you can be done, and that probably makes the most sense. I was like, or you can just say fuck it and see what happens.
Gut it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I literally said, okay, you have this period of time, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Took 9 practices. Yeah. 9 practices, and I had the job.
That's nice. I wish I could have came to some of those games too, man.
I wish you could have too. I wish I could have brought all our people down there. Yeah. I still would like to.
That was nice playing in that stadium. Nice.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions. What's one of the most craziest environments that you ever played in? What would you say would be
in high school?
Time. High school and college. Give me one of both.
Okay, so high school, the rivalry is not the same now, but when we were playing, Central was a really good rivalry.
Yeah.
It was just like, I remember they hung a doll in front of the school before one of the games, and I had a little doll with my name on it in a noose.
Yeah, they made it really fun.
They noose, and
Shout out to the Bruins. They made it really fun.
Like, people got mad about that, but I was like, I like that. Yeah.
I love that in sports.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about it.
Yeah, it's like, screw you too.
As much crap as you want to. You know what I mean?
I don't like you either.
Just make it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because look, you cook them, you turn them into roast beef and potatoes anyway. You know what I mean? So what can they say after the game?
Yeah.
Oh man, Chris cooked a whole secondary.
Yeah, so
scorched them.
Yeah, but I love that rivalry. I wish it would be back.
It was really fun.
Because we had so many people. Like, that fence would be lined up around the entire field. We'd fill the whole stands. Like, the community got excited about the games.
You always know people to go to, and you're like, we crushed out.
Yeah. Corbin, I think, is maybe.
Corbin was crazy.
I think that's one of the biggest games that's ever been played in that stadium.
Corbin was
just because it was a regional championship, it was a huge game. There was a ton of hype around it.
Yeah.
They blitzed like crazy. It was just such a good regional
Corbin
championship.
was pretty good.
They were great. They were really good. Really good.
What about college? Tough?
So the Iron Bowl is by far the craziest atmosphere. I can't even explain it. It's just like
all whiteouts.
I don't think we did it all
whiteouts.
I think Tennessee did one. That was Tennessee's maybe the loudest place.
Tennessee's pretty nuts.
Tennessee was loud. Old Rocky Top. Yeah, they were probably the loudest. That was probably the most difficult to navigate as far as communication during the game.
They are pretty wild.
Well, the seats go like straight up.
I noticed.
Like that. LSU has as many people or close, but they go this way.
It's more domey kind of.
Yeah. You just get this echoing effect, and it's so loud.
Always packed. It's always just sold out. So okay, so Old Rocky Top.
Loudest. Like I said, Iron Bowl atmosphere. Like the nerves from a normal game would last until I completed my first pass or something. That game was like a quarter. It was like
playing the Iron Bowl.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Auburn, Alabama game.
Auburn, Alabama. Okay, okay.
That game, that atmosphere is just so far above anything else. It's just so intense.
That's
so intense. And when you do something in that game,
that's football country right there.
Oh my God, dude.
Alabama just beat Georgia.
They did. That was crazy. That whole deal with the final four teams was nuts.
What this came to was wild, like the Final Four football.
Yep.
Did you ever picture it being like that?
No, I mean,
I never thought it. Remember how it was when we were. I don't know. It was basically like they would just select you for a bowl game.
Yeah.
If you didn't get a bowl game, you didn't. If you did, you did.
Yeah. But that was what we had.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
So off subject, iPhone or Android? I told you we're gonna get into this.
He's making fun of my phone. I still have like the one little thing.
I still love it, but I gotta bring him to my world. He said, "I don't do 4K. We do 1080p."
I said I wouldn't do 4K. I
You just don't have it. But that's okay though.
So like, thank you. Go ahead. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just told him. I teased him before. I said, "Yo, we're gonna get into this," but that's fine. So
I can answer it. I'll answer the question.
Yeah,
iPhone or Android?
Yeah, iPhone, Android.
So right now it's iPhone.
Okay.
But what I would say is, so a few years ago I got off social media for the most part, and I stopped updating my phones. That was just so I could get. That was just for me thing. I'm gonna get back on it, and I'll buy a new phone again too. But I just gotta. So I would say this: the Android for if you're looking for options, and just stuff. You want a little stylus and all those cool little things. and the different apps and the different watches, I like Android. But the iPhone is simplistic. It's straightforward. It's safe. It connects to all its stuff. So I think they both have their place. But right now, I'm an iPhone guy.
You're right. I like that Team iPhone. But yeah, it's whatever's compatible for you.
Yeah.
I love listening to music and doing different things on the iPhone, you know. So chicken wings, drums or flats?
What's a flat?
Flats are like, they're not like drums. They're like flat looking wings. You don't know what flats are?
Nah.
Chicken wings.
Like the little two bones like this? That's a flat?
A flat is like, it just looks.
And you got the little drumstick, the other one.
Yeah.
So it's like the leg and the wing?
Yeah.
So is it the leg and the wing?
You know what it is, but you didn't think.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of a flat wing.
Ooh.
But then you got.
That's a great question. Which one do I like
drums.
more?
Yeah.
So I like how clean the drum is, because you can start getting in here, but like
that's a good point.
But the other one, I like the meat that comes off the other one, that long lean
flat?
meat. Yeah.
So he's a flats guy. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you can kind of just peel it apart and you can get all the meat off of it really easily.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Flat guy. So I'm gonna ask you this. Are you rolling with the Little Giants or the Sandlot?
Oh God, that is tough.
Which one's your favorite? I know, both classic.
So I got into Sandlot later.
Yeah.
As a child, 100% Little Giants. 100%.
That's a good point.
Yes.
I think I did the same.
As a kid, I was definitely Little Giants. Like my brother and sister loved that movie. We watched it a ton of times. We quoted all the time.
Love both of them.
You can't piss to Johnny. I'm Johnny.
Icebox. Yeah. I love that, man. I love how flashy the Cowboys was on there.
Oh, they were.
I mean?
They were so much better than Little Giants.
Yeah.
Like in real life, they would have crushed them.
Oh man, there would have been no incredible storyline to that. They would have beat the piss out of them.
Yeah.
But I love both of those. So.
I love Sandlot too, though.
Yeah.
I even have a jersey. I got a gift one time. My brother got it for me. It was a jersey with like Rodriguez on the back.
Yeah.
I've got like Benny the Jet. Yeah.
That's hard. I need that.
Yeah, I like it. I'll show it to you. I can send it to a picture to you.
That's wild.
I held his borrow it.
Yeah, I'm both guy. I'm right there too. I honestly don't have an answer for us. I'm going with both of them.
I would say originally it's Little Giants. Yeah. But I love the Sandlot.
Me too. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
So you got Varsity Blues or Friday Night Lights?
Oh. So I'm not as big into either one of those, honestly. Varsity Blues I've seen probably what I've seen more than Varsity Blues with that spinoff. Remember 900 movie?
Okay.
They were making fun of Varsity Blues.
I think I know what you're talking about. I'll remember briefly.
I've seen that one a ton. Yeah.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you're rolling with Friday Night Lights then. You've seen that one.
I've seen
Ruby Miles.
Yeah, Permian.
Yeah.
I actually just talked to guys.
Don't fumble the football. Take his hands on it.
Now I did at Tech. I had some guys that were from that school.
Mm.
Yeah, so they got to tell me some stories.
That's pretty
just
cool.
about. I will say that the atmosphere of Texas high school football.
That is football.
It will. You don't know it until you're there. Like I've never seen a town just empty.
Different world.
Yeah. Yep.
I always visualized that atmosphere whenever I was younger. Remember, I had those football dreams I was telling you about?
Yeah.
And that was one of those dreams of me dreaming about being in a town like that where people were just crazy about football.
Yep. Yeah, I remember like one of the first times I went into, it was one of the schools in Dallas. Well, first of all, the stadiums. If you ever fly into Texas, pay attention to the stadiums when you're going into Dallas or Houston or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you'll see, there's so many. You're like, that looks like a college stadium, but they're high school stadiums a lot of times.
6A.
Oh, they're so big.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll hold. I mean, we had our big games might have been 5,000 people, 6,000 people.
Right.
They're having 20,000 people at games,
and it's lit up.
And it's high school. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's nuts, man. And then all those kids, like a lot of them, they end up going and playing in the next level.
A lot of them.
There's so much interest there.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. So, I noticed you did some work with Bo Nix.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's actually the quarterback. Is it the same Bo Nix that plays for Oregon now, right?
Yes. I say I did some work with Bo. I've been around Bo, and we've done some stuff together.
Oh, okay.
But, like, it's I wouldn't say I've had a lot of one-on-one time with him.
Not really, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to when he was at Auburn. Just because he's so skilled. He really just a couple things fundamentally. I thought he had like a really, really high ceiling.
Because I noticed y'all spoke on it, and he seems seems pretty smooth now.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job with him in Oregon.
Yeah.
Great job. Like that fits his skill set because he's such a good runner.
The offense fits.
Yeah.
They got a lot of athletes in Oregon, and I just like the, what do you call it? I guess the culture that was built into Oregon.
Yeah. With Nike and all the stuff going on.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Right
It is really cool.
So yeah, moving forward with this, working with kids and then the psychological aspect of things. What do you enjoy most about that?
About the psychology or about kids or both?
I guess just kids, like being with kids and then being able to dive into the brains of a little bit of how they operate and make decisions.
Okay, yeah. So there's a couple parts to that. So number one, the psychology I got into really for myself. Like I had some stuff that was in my close environment that I needed answers to that wasn't me, that I really started digging in psychology and finding answers. And then I realized that I could use the information. So then I started diving into really having it for myself. As far as
based on that,
so it was really figuring out my own stuff. Now the crazy thing is, like, you want to help the world, like help yourself first. They say that. So it's just like by learning all these problems and addressing things that I needed to address, it's helped me learn about other people way more than I knew before.
Right.
So yeah, looking in before you look out is definitely big. So then, and honestly, so now it's just useful. I didn't necessarily do it to help the kids. I was trying to help myself selfishly.
Right.
But just, now that I know, it helps so much in communication and what kids need, or what even just people you interact with. You can just, it helps you kind of understand them better, listen better, understand what they're going through. You can help you empathize a little more, or at least give you some groundwork to like where to start, with communication and understanding.
Very well said. So like open for understanding and just developing healthy habits, healthy mental habits.
Yes.
Patterns.
Yep. And I think the important part too with the kids is, it's taken me a while to really appreciate this, but I think you have a responsibility. When something gives a lot to you, I think you have a responsibility to give it back.
Definitely.
So I think just giving to the kids, I think I'm supposed to. I think I need, because
part of your calling.
Yeah. So people help me
to put out that good energy and that good messaging.
Yeah.
Using your voice and being there physically too.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot more than what you even think, just by showing up and being a representation. So nice. So discipline or motivation, which one do you think is more important to what you've had going on?
See, I would love to think that my motivation is so strong that runs everything.
Yeah.
But the discipline is huge.
Definitely.
And it's so huge. It's just like, I mean, for example, like working out for my current life. Like when I moved back to Kentucky, when I moved back to E-Town from Auburn after COVID hit, like it was one of the first things I did was I found a workout partner. I called up my buddy. I was like, "Hey man, you want to start working out again?" Mm-hmm. He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." And the only reason for that was that's the discipline that helps me show up every day. So all those days where I didn't want to do stuff, where I don't feel like getting out of bed, where I feel sore from the day before, or I'm tired, whatever it is, like if he shows up, I have to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't have a choice.
That's where the discipline kicks
in. Yes. So I would say I'm not motivated every day as strongly as I would like to be. I do know when I have the discipline and I show up, I can usually get motivated.
Facts.
But being motivated before I go doesn't always show up.
It is. And that's with everybody. I think us as men, we have an obligation. Like us as men, what headache? You know what I mean? Like, who cares if we have a headache? Like, we got to be there and just do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, it's.
What do you think?
It's kind of like you need both, but with me, I feel like the discipline comes first. Yeah. Because, like you said, on those rainy days where you're like, I really got to kick it in today. Yeah. Or I'm gonna be hurt today. Or my main thing is like those lack of sleep days. I'm like, I used to be thinking about how much sleep I had. Did I get 4 hours? Did I get 3? Did I get? You know what I mean? You're all over the place when you think about sleep. And literally, sleep it's very important.
That was so important.
It's like you're not even the same person if you don't get.
No, I didn't know it for a long time, but it's so important.
Like just driving and just communicating, like
brain function goes down a lot with little sleep. A lot.
So that's why it would be the discipline thing to me, because our jobs it has to be so consistent, everything's so consistent in life.
Yeah. I would say this. I think motivation. So if I was going to give a word for motivation, I think it's important to listen to that whatever thing, that fire you have inside of you.
Yeah.
Like if you have something that draws you in, that gives you energy, that gives you that
Yes.
whatever gusto of life you're looking for,
Yes.
like that right there, like use that motivation to jump
Yeah.
in and dive in. But it's
You're
like,
right.
so that you need to listen to that voice, whatever it is, whatever you think it is, you need to listen to that and let it direct you. But the thing that's going to make you show up every day is the discipline.
You're right. I'm glad you threw the motivation part in there because that is a part of it.
Yeah, it is.
For sure. So, how do you feel about the quarterbacks in the league today? Because I feel like the game has changed a little bit as far as like how they call the game, and I don't know. How do you feel about mainly like I don't know,
Roughing the passer?
roughing the passer call, roughing the passer? How do you know? I was gonna say?
Because it's the worst.
Yeah,
It's just the worst.
I mean, it's just different.
Yeah.
It makes the game much different. It makes the defenders, I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's hard to hesitate before you tackle somebody. When I play, all I know is that you have to hit them correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit them correctly, but it's hard to slow down your momentum.
Yep.
As you're getting ready to make a play. And that's with anything. That's before you're making a pass. That's before you're stepping to tackle. That's before, I think even the pass interference is kind of getting a little bit out of hand. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? You being a quarterback and the hits that you're taking.
Yep. Yeah. The roughing the passer is going too far. I would say this. At the end of the day, you have big, strong, powerful, let's just call them monsters.
The game is physical.
They are big and nasty, and it's literally like getting hit by a truck.
Facts.
So you get drilled. Like, my head, your sternum, just my legs, everything. I've just been hit so hard. I think you are a sitting duck sometimes as a quarterback, so you're in a very vulnerable position.
Definitely.
With really dangerous people coming at you. So like when people used to hit people in the knees and go low, like that's so dirty.
That is, especially from the side, the way you're just changing.
And you're just standing there.
Yeah.
Now I've seen people, even on my own team, do that to other people. It's just part of it. I think you got to cut out some of that. The head stuff, I think as the research comes out with that, like they're just seeing so much trauma in the brain, so you have to be careful.
Right.
And then
it's just a gray area of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like up to this point.
They got to back up a little bit on the roughing the passer.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of subjective, but you can tell if somebody's trying to drive somebody in the ground and go too far.
Right. I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things. I remember a Shiloh Sanders play.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call it targeting, but it's beyond roughing the passer. It's targeting now. It's if you hit them in a certain area of the body, then it's targeting.
Yeah.
So I just think it makes the game like back when Dick Buckus played. Of course, there was nothing to protect people, and the gear wasn't even as well put together. But just that compared to now, whole different ballgame.
I wrote a paper when I was back from my psychology degree on it was the dark triad in sports.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at you're looking at like narcissism, Machiavellianism. There's one, whatever the other one is, but it's like you were searching. See, narcissism, Machiavellianism, you're basically looking at psychopathic traits. And you and I studied some of these dudes.
Believe that I do.
Like there were guys
out there.
Yeah. They try to hurt people.
Yeah.
Like some guys out there really want to hurt.
So I do agree with that. There is some animals out there.
Yeah.
What was one of the most tenacious defenders that you ever been on the field with?
Ooh, tenacious, just nasty, like
I'm
scary.
Talking about a killer.
So honestly, the killer side was easier for me to see in my own teammates.
Okay.
Just because I could see them face to face, and I could see what they were doing. Like we had this kid named Trey Blackman, and I saw his clips when I first got there. Like, hey man, you got to look this kid up. Even in high school,
outside linebacker.
He was middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Like when I said he looked like a Ninja Turtle, like he was just like this, like the bulky ones.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so just like, and he didn't like talk that much to you either. Like I remember working out with him one day. He was like, we were both in because I just had surgery. We were in a hurt group doing something. We're doing like bench press, I think.
He didn't talk that
And
much
he's wrapping the weights and he's shaking the whole platform like when he's putting them on. And I was like, I remember seeing him just like murder these people, like murder them in SEC games. Just come and hit them and just like drive through them in their life. And I just remember looking like, hey, bro, me and you are cool, right?
You're on my team. You're on my squad, okay? We got that understand. So he sound electrifying.
Yeah. I have one more. There's one more of this dude's almost like him. So you remember the name Takeo Spikes?
Oh yeah, I remember.
All right, so I met him one time. And right before him, I met Charles Barkley the first time.
Legendary name.
So I was like, we were on the field. Like it was just after I got done playing. Yeah. So I'm walking around the field, and first of all, Charles Barkley is so famous. Like he's so famous on a whole other level. It's crazy.
Superstar.
Yeah. But so I'm walking by and I see him and I'm like, oh hey, Mr. Barkley, I'm Chris Todd. He's like, and like I said, I just got done playing. He's like, I know who you are. And I was just like a little bit.
I know who you are.
Right after I go past and Takeo Spikes is right there. And he's still like his neck is still like this.
Huge.
So I'm like, hey sir. And he was like, hey, I'm Takeo. And I went like this, and he said it like he was gonna eat me. I was like, hey, bro, I'm just gonna keep going.
You shouldn't even be playing on Saturday. Just go straight to the Sunday. You know?
Yeah.
So he was a monster. Okay.
Yeah.
Those sound like some interesting times.
Yeah.
So nice. So moving forward with this, would you prefer turf or no turf?
Like the rubber stuff or the old stuff?
Good question.
The old stuff's really hard and dangerous. I think you have a really thin layer on concrete.
So the new more soft? Or?
Yes. Yeah. So like, yep. So if you remember, they used to call going to the state championship in Kentucky going to the carpet.
Yeah.
If you remember, that was because they had that old turf and it was like a carpet with the concrete.
You had to get prepared for that.
Yep. Yeah. I think that was dangerous, and a lot of people got hurt because of it. Blew out a lot of knees. I think the new rubber is nice. I like, man, the fields they have now with the real grass is just so pretty.
Nice.
And they have this draining system.
Yeah.
Like we had that monsoon game against West Virginia, and now it was wet, but just the water just drained through the field. They have this stuff underneath it. I think they even have systems underneath the fields now.
Wow. That's incredible. I didn't know that.
I like them both.
Okay.
Yeah. A little div. You got a little crown in Bermuda, but Bermuda fields.
About Bermuda, yeah.
Yeah, you got a little hill in the middle. So like if you're throwing stuff on the outside of the field, you got the angle is just slightly different. Or you have a completely flat field.
Thickness of the grass.
Well, they mound it up in the middle of the field so that it runs off on the sides. The reason I know that, my dad, they put in a field at Taylor County, and I was around.
Oh, okay.
So I got to see them do it. Yeah.
That reminds me of our middle school field. I felt like it kind of went.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably it drains off the sides like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So would you prefer late games or early games? Because I know you can have a late one, or you can play early Saturday afternoon.
Early games feel weird.
Do they?
Yep. Yeah. They just.
Do you
I don't know.
Do you eat breakfast before early games?
Yeah, we always ate good before games. Yeah, it was just the you have like a whole process, especially for night games. Like you go in, you eat breakfast, go back, watch. You'll have your meetings, you watch your film, then you eat lunch or whatever. It's just like you have a process you're going through. Like Friday night, you watch a movie,
pregame,
and just all that gets cut short with the morning game. Yeah. And it just feels, I don't know, it just feels weird.
Game time already.
Yeah,
early.
Yeah, and then it's not. I would say this: the best thing about morning games is you have the rest of the day Saturday to do what you want. Usually, my family would come in and we would hang out,
rest up.
Yeah, or if people want to go out or whatever they want to do. So that's nice, but it just feels weird.
I bet your family made it to about every game, didn't it?
They got to come to a lot of games. They did really good. Yeah,
nice.
Yep, they did.
It's pretty cool, man. So I got this. I got a list for you: him or this or that. So
him for what?
Whatever reasoning you want. It doesn't matter.
All right.
It don't matter. Whatever reasoning. So. Tom Brady or Joe Montana?
Oh, Tom Brady.
Brady? He's more of our era anyway.
I just know way more about Tom Brady. And
how you feel about the deflated ball situation?
So they used to lay out balls before games. Yeah. They would have like 20 or 30 balls on the floor, and they'd tell me to pick so many.
Yeah.
And I would never pick the fattest ones. So I would pick the one with the least air because you could just yes. So I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. You can farm it all the way down the field.
Yeah. I don't know if they were like cheating. It's really not like
it's just funny to think about.
Yeah. Like a really fat aired up ball or an overly inflated ball is stupid. Like it's just stupid.
A bunch of air in there, right?
Yeah. It's
Catching
just way
would
too
be
much.
different too, because there's nothing, you can't sink it in your hands.
Yeah. So it's just, you don't want to kick with the ball that lose a little bit of air. But
I remember I first came out with you, and I'm like, we're practicing, and he's slinging it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Got some fire behind that. I had to really get used to catching, you know what I mean? I could only imagine if it had extra air in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it hurt a little more too.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
Make it harder or something.
Yeah.
So you got Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith?
Ooh, Barry Sanders.
It was tough. Okay. I figured you hesitated a little bit longer on that one, but I got it. Barry was crazy. Barry was nuts.
I mean, the Cowboys were on TV all the time in the 90s because they were so good and they had those games with the Bills. And Barry Sanders is just so fun to watch.
He was just
he's so different.
Elusive.
Yeah. I mean, even up there with the Lions, you kind of like hide up there.
Yeah.
But people still want to watch them.
And they literally had no offense. The offense would just hand him the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah. A human highlight reel, like seriously. So, okay, Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson?
Ooh. Michael Vick.
Got it, Vick? Okay.
Vick is just, man.
Any specific reason?
Well, it's probably another era thing. I just grew up watching Vick.
It is our era.
But Vick is a freak.
Lefty, too.
God, he is such a freak. He's so fast, and his arm was so good. Strong. I mean, that ball, when he came back and threw the ball, when he came back to Philly, after he had to go to prison, he threw that deep ball, he threw it like 7 yards in the air.
God, the 88-yarder, that was killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that specific throw. That was a nasty throw. So okay, nice. Ray Lewis or Michael Parsons? Michael Parsons. Both animals, both beasts.
I don't know as much
Different
about
positions.
Parsons. Yeah, they are. Ray Lewis is just.
But both.
Yeah. Yep. I know. I've followed Ray Lewis way more. I'll go with Ray Lewis. Yeah, Ray Lewis.
Yeah. Ray
Parsons, I would say. Yeah, I don't.
Ray Lewis was different.
Yeah, he was. He won, and he was just a really good leader. And
could you imagine being in the pocket having to worry about him?
Like, yeah, I probably would have hated him if I played against him, or if he was even on my team, I might have disliked him. But he was really good. That purple just seems kind of like bad. You seem like the bad guys in that dark purple and black.
Right. That black, that raven.
Yeah.
Because that 2000 defense, I mean, that wasn't even that good offensively.
No, Ed Reed, they had him too. He was stupid good.
So I got Mike Holmgren or Bill Belichick.
Ooh.
Tuffy?
I mean, Bill Belichick the system. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, okay, I'll say this about Bill Belichick. I was curious, and the reason I'll give him both is just because it's personal, I guess because of connection. But when I did like 2 or 3 pro days, so I did my own pro day coming out of college, and I went back and threw. I threw for when they didn't have a quarterback, and then I was still working out for the second one. But so the 3 I did at Auburn, I did some other ones at other places, but the 3 I did at Auburn, there were, the New England Patriots just find these guys.
Yeah, they're just like guys like, who is that? But then they show up in the game.
Yep. Okay, so one thing, out of the 3 that I went to, the only head coach that I saw at every single one of them was him.
Belichick?
He was literally there. He was literally there. No, everybody. I mean, there were people, right?
But that's a good point.
Like he showed up and saw everybody with his eyes.
Okay. Yeah.
So like everybody else is sending, like most people are sending a scout, and the scout watches all the stuff, and then they go back and tell them. But Bill Belichick showed up every time, and he saw it. He saw the kids.
He wanted to be the scout.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys, I think that's the reason he finds them.
Yeah,
because he's the one watching.
And that's crazy. There's a reason why he was successful at that time.
He found Tom Brady like that. He's found a lot of his slot guys like that. He's found some running backs like that. He's found
some to point out.
Yep.
So that's what he was doing. So he basically was on top of it more than the other head coaches.
Yep. And I think there's some lineage there with him and Saban. Even though Saban's on the opposite side of our stuff, he's done a good job. I think he's learned some stuff there. Yeah. Okay. I just think that's a really good tree. And
but you met him a few times, I'm sure.
Saban,
yeah.
I never really talked to Saban.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. We just didn't.
Kind of mysterious. Yeah.
We just weren't in the same place. Like after the game, I remember talking to the quarterbacks after the game.
Yeah.
And meeting a guy
He's a jogger too. He kind of runs away.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I read a book. I guess it was his book with like it was good. He does a lot of things that I think are really good. I mean, obviously I'm anti-Alabama or whatever, but he does a lot of things really well.
Definitely. Well, you know, our old teammate went there, so yeah, look at him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why he went there.
Roll Tide. Not Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Word. So, okay, you got Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts?
Ooh. So I really so Jalen Hurts, I have a little connection with him, which is why I like watching him. I think he's a really hard worker. Like he's a workout guy, which I was a workout guy, especially before I did my shoulder. So I really like that about him. He's strong. He studies.
Yeah.
His quarterback coach at Oklahoma was my GA quarterback coach at Texas Tech. So we have some connections there. But honestly, if I was going to pick one, I'd pick Mahomes. He's just so good. He's so gifted.
Nasty. It's natural.
He just, some of it's got to be baseball, but he throws in so many different slots, and I don't think it's so hard to appreciate if you haven't tried to make the throws that he made, that he's able to make very effortlessly. Like you don't understand how hard it is.
That's what stands out to me about him is that sidewinder that he throws and fits it through the window.
Well, just like if you just think about what it is, but he's sitting there throwing a ball, running this way, and he's able to like bend his arm and follow through and like. I mean, usually you have one. You're perfecting one arm slot here to here.
Right.
He's just able to do it in so many different positions, running different directions, moving this way, moving that way. And he does it with speed.
Right.
And so it's just, he's so good.
Every play.
Yes, he's very good.
He is very good. And a very nice scrambler, too.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think he works hard, too. He's
got a lot of natural ability.
Yeah, there he does.
He came back hobbling on one leg. So you got Randy Moss or Deion Sanders?
To have on your team or to play receiver?
Any your pick, whatever reason.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss?
Yeah, he's too good.
He was nasty.
He's too much of a freak. Now, Deion Sanders.
Throw it up to him.
Yeah, Deion Sanders, he was so good. So, like, I mean, you have a lockdown corner, you have a punt returner, you potentially have a kick returner, you have somebody you can put on offense. So he's crazy valuable.
Versatility.
Yes, he's very versatile. I mean, he can play baseball, which that takes. Him playing baseball is going to take time away from the football team. So 100% get rid of him.
I wouldn't expect him to answer, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Randy Moss is more dedicated, man. Disciplined.
Randy plays all the time.
He does.
Randy was crazy.
He's just so good. I've seen him just catch screen balls with one hand and just the way he's able to get over the top. He's just so good.
Yeah, he was different, man.
Yeah.
So on the college level, what was the craziest game you've seen out of anybody? Like the craziest like performance that you've ever seen out of a player?
Out of a player?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a really hard question. I will say this.
Groundbreaking.
So at the time, this is just one that pops in the top of my head. Watching LSU was it 19 when they went to the national championship?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that team was so in sync. It was something I'd never seen anything quite like it. But like yes,
yeah,
Heisman?
You went to Heisman?
Mm-hmm. I have a cool thing. I actually watched him the year before. I had to do a thing for. I do too. I like him a lot. I had to do a rating for the SEC Media Days on quarterbacks in the SEC, and I put Joe Burrow in my top 3, and I got shit from everybody.
Really?
They're like, man, you can't put him because I wanted this kid from Florida and A&M, and I was like, dude, I've just watched his film. His hips and his drops and the way he plays, like he's just good.
He's just good.
He's just good. But that team, though, I remember I was looking into flow state at the time, and just like the connection and being in his zone, they were throwing balls that weren't open, and they were completing them at a high percentage. They were just, I don't know, they were just so in sync.
Right.
I just thought that team was at such a high level. I was very impressed. Like I think our high school team got to a crazy high level in high school.
Yeah, definitely.
I just thought that LSU team just did that so well.
That is a beautiful thing to watch. When you see in any sport, when you just see teammates just fluently, just their chemistry is just in sync and playing real smooth together. That's nice, man. So Appreciate you coming up here, man. This is
Oh, I've had a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You got any shout outs or you got any events or anything? Or how about some messages to the youth?
Yeah, so I mean now, like I said, I'm back in Kentucky, back in Easttown. We're doing some work in golf and football both now.
Nice.
I'm enjoying being back. I don't know. I'll just say like it was words to the youth. I would just say, man, have a dream. Don't be afraid to go for it.
Right.
Just find an aim and just go at it with everything you have. Like find something to stare at and obsess about, and just go do it with everything you have. And if you don't know what to do, it's fine, because like I didn't know what to do. If you can, find somebody that's already doing it, right, and do what they do.
Duplicate them.
And then, once you get to a certain level, you can become your own person. But it's just find an aim, find a goal. Don't be scared. Just go do it.
It's a very good message. That's what I'm getting across to my son right now.
Yeah.
He likes animation. I'm like, hey, if you like it, if you love it, I do too. You should just go for that.
Go for it.
Don't even think about it.
Go for it.
Just do it.
Well, what are you doing if you don't do that?
Right. You're probably lost anyway, so you're not doing what you want to do anyway, so you're in the shell somewhere. So that's a beautiful message, man. Yeah. Quarterback Chris Todd, man. Don't get your defense cooked. Don't get him cooked. Don't fall back anyway. The DB fall, he slipped. That's his fault. That's his problem. He's gonna cook you, man. And let's get the business.
Yo, let's get the business.